Ladies and gentlemen, I am Caroline from Belgium. Today, I am privileged to interview India's top leading educationalist, Dr. Amit Kamle. He completed his medical from Volgograd State Medical University, and he has created A.K.Educational Consultants to help Indian students fulfill their dreams of becoming doctors. He has mentored over 1,200 doctors till date. His students pass their exams with a track record of 90 to 95% at first attempt. He has been awarded with many accolades and honors for his overall contribution to society at large. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you Dr. Amit Kamle. Dr. Amit, why is Russia a favorite destination to study MBBS for Indian students?
Russia is India's time-tested friend, and Indian students are going to Russia from the past 70 years. There are no donations, no capitation fees, and no entrance examinations for admissions. Moreover, the Russian degrees are globally accepted because the Russian universities are listed with the World Health Organization. The education is very subsidized, and this makes the Russian education very affordable for Indian parents. The curriculum is taught in English language, and there are proven results that those who have gone to study abroad in Russia have completed their medical education and are successfully working as doctors. They have completed their post-graduation, they have completed their DNB, and they have completed their diplomas and working as doctors in India.
Is it very difficult to get admission for MBBS in India?
See, now the problem what happens in India is there are too many aspirants who give NEET. They are in several lakhs, and the available seats in India are several thousands. So what happens or what are the choices that these students have later? Either they take a gap or either they change the stream. Now what happens or what is the perception in the market or in India is like getting admission in Russia is very easy. No doubt it is easy because the admission procedure itself is not hectic and is student centric and student friendly. But that is just the entry level. The student has to be determined, the student has to be self-motivated, he has to be patient, he should do all the things on his own and shouldn't rely on spoon-fed information or spoon-fed things. So yeah, the entry level to Russia might feel easy, but sustaining there and completing the course is a challenge as well.
Are NEET marks mandatory to study in Russia?
And so what used to happen before the introduction of NEET, the students who were desirous to go and study abroad, Medical Council of India were giving them eligibility certificates. Now what is the eligibility certificate? Now if you satisfy the eligibility criteria of the Medical Council of India, and if your university or college is listed in their list, so the Medical Council of India would give the student an eligibility certificate. And if the eligibility certificate is there with a student, then after completion of the course, the student would be able to give the screening test or appear for the screening test. But now pattern has changed, and now from the introduction of NEET, Medical Council of India no longer gives or issues eligibility certificates. So the NEET scorecard serves as an automatic eligibility certificate. So yes, NEET score is mandatory when it comes to admission in Russian medical universities.
Apart from NEET marks, what is the eligibility criteria for Indian students to study in Russia?
The eligibility criteria is the student should pass 12th standard with 50% of marks in physics, chemistry and biology. Reserved category candidates should have 40% and above marks in physics, chemistry and biology. Plus they should have their caste certificate and its validity. Apart from this, NEET qualification is also important. General category students should have 50 percentile marks for admission, and reserved category students should have 40 percentile marks, plus they need to have their caste certificate and its validity.
What is the duration of a course in Russia?
The duration of general medicine course in Russia is 6 years.
Are Russian degrees recognized internationally?
Yes, so the students are advised to check the World Directory of Medical Schools website. If the university that you have selected is listed in the World Directory of Medical School, then yes, your degree becomes valid internationally. Apart from just being valid, the students need to also check what are the conditions that they need to fulfill after graduation from the Russian medical universities. Do they need to give any further tests, entrances or country examinations should also be checked.
What types of universities are available for Indian students in Russia?
Basically the Russian Medical Universities Network has two types of universities. Those under the state government are called as state universities and federal universities.
What is the admission procedure and what documents are required?
Once the student brings his 10th, 11th and 12th mark sheet and NEET qualified scorecard, counseled by our professional team, and he is given a choice to select universities. After the selection procedure is completed, the documents are sent to the university for verification. So once the verification report comes, the student is either accepted or denied an admission. So once the student is accepted, then the next procedure, the visa papers. So visa papers usually takes around a month and a half, so around 30 to 45 days, for which we require a lot of medical checkups and health reports of the students. After which, once the visa papers are ready, next procedure is doing the visa work. So once the visa is done, we gather all the students who are traveling to Russia. We address and inform them about the formalities, about the traveling formalities, about the immigration formalities, and then the students travel to Russia. So this is how in brief the admission procedure is. It takes generally 2 to 3 months once you begin the procedure to get completed. Yeah.
When does the academic year start in Russia?
The academic year in Russia starts on 1st September.
And when are the exams?
So we have a semester pattern. So the first semester examination, which is called as the winter semester or the fall semester, is in the month of January, and the summer semester examinations are in the month of June.
And how is the grading or the marking system?
Yeah, so in Russia we have grades. So 5 grade is what is abbreviated as excellent grade. That means it is 90 to 100 percentage. 4 grade is good grade, which is around 80 to 90 percentage, and 3 grade is a satisfactory grade, which is 70 to 80 percentage. So these are the abbreviations of the grading system in Russia.
And when do students break off on holidays?
We have 2 breaks. So the first holiday is in winter. So we have a 2-week off for the students. It is usually in the last week of January until first week of Feb. And the summer vacations are after the summer examinations, that is July and August. So that is the time when students can stay back in their hostels, or they can travel to Europe, or they can come back to India.
What books do Indian students refer to when in Russia?
Yeah, so this is a very important question again, because Indian books are simplified and the language is also very simplified. So in select universities we have asked the administration to refer to Indian books. We have provided Indian books in selected universities. Indian students studying in Indian medical colleges also refer to the same books. Like for example, for anatomy we have B.D. Chaurasia. For histology they have Indrabir Singh. For physiology they refer Guyton. For pathology they refer Harsh Mohan. For microbiology they refer Panikar. For obs gynec they have Datta. For medicine they have Davidson. For surgery, they have Das or Love and Bailey. Then for pediatrics, we have Ghai. So all the Indian books that are referred in Indian medical colleges, we have provided our students with them. Yeah.
How is the teaching system?
So that needs to be checked by the student or parent before enrolling yourself, because the universities that we recommend our students to study at, they follow complete English curriculum right from the first year until the 6 years. So there are two modules of teaching. When a teacher teaches a group of say 15 students, it's called as a practical lesson. And when a professor or a lecturer teaches a group of 100 students, it's called as a lecture. So it's practical oriented and lecture based. Yeah.
Why does the infrastructure and the location of a university matter in Russia?
So now we have to understand that Russia is the largest country in the world, but is sparsely populated. So around 80 to 85% of the locals prefer to stay in urban areas or metropolitan cities. Only 10 to 15% of the entire population stays in rural areas or towns or villages. So what happens is the pocket friendly or the cheap universities are usually located in small towns or villages or in rural areas. So if there is no patient flow in the hospitals because of the infrastructure, what are the students going to go and do there? They are not able to do ward duties, they will not be able to assist doctors, they will not be able to dissect, they will not be able to do emergencies, they will not be able to do or assist surgeries, they will not be able to see deliveries, they won't be able to do anything on their own because they will be taught on mannequins. It becomes very difficult for a medical student because his whole career will be at stake, because whatever knowledge he is going to get there in Russia, he has to imply it in real life also. That will improve his patient care skills, his communication skills, and ultimately help him in diagnosing and treatment. And if this is not happening, why do we land up going there? Just because it's cheap or just because it is pocket friendly doesn't mean that you have to go. So I would rather not risk of sending any student with a poor infrastructured university, rather than he just stays back in India and does something else instead of going up there and just taking a degree for namesake. That's what I feel.
Is the practical training for students conducted in a hospital?
Yeah, so as I said, the training module is very specific and it is student friendly. When I say student friendly, a teacher teaches a group of 15 students, so that makes the education pattern also personal, because whatever he or she is teaching, it is personal attention. Whatever doubts the student has, he feels comfortable and he can ask his teacher very openly. So there isn't a barrier between or a communication gap between a teacher and a student. So that makes education pattern very comprehensive and very student friendly. Yeah.
How are the living conditions? Do students stay in hostels or rent an apartments over there?
Yeah, so but this is again a very valid and a very important question which the parents and students need to check, because in certain universities there is government accommodation. In certain universities there is private accommodation. Students need to rent out apartments, find a realtor and keep on looking at places. In some universities there are private hostels as well. So private accommodation or renting an apartment wouldn't be recommended and wouldn't be considered safe because of security issues. So that needs to be checked in. So the universities that we recommend, we usually prefer separate hostels for boys, separate hostels for girls. For girls, the kitchens and the toilet bathroom need to be attached, and it has to be clean and hygienic. So this is something which we strive to do with universities, because that is the basic thing that the university needs to fulfill. Plus then there has to be a study room, there needs to be a gymnasium for sure, there needs to be a recreational room also for the students. Then the basic thing is it has to be in the campus, because day to day timetables or day to day questions need to be addressed and the student need to feel comfortable about it. Apart from this, there has to be a medical store, a medical faculty nearby in case of emergencies. So that is what is required to be seen. Plus a departmental store, grocery or things of like milk and rice and dal and everything needs to be in hand, and it has to be within the vicinity. So so these things need to be checked before selecting a university, I feel. Yeah.
Is there any ragging conducted by senior students?
No. I'll tell you, our senior students are very sweet, and they take care of our students who arrive, the first year entrants and the junior ones. So no, there is no ragging, and it is against the law. It is strictly banned in Russian universities. Yeah.
Now more practical question. How do students wash their laundry while studying at the university?
Russia is a cold country, and we don't want students taking care of their clothes also and washing them in the harsh winters. So yes, laundry is also important in the university.
Russia is a very cold country. What arrangements and facilities are available for students when studying in Russia?
The most frequently asked question, Russia is known for very harsh winters, but let me tell you, the winter starts somewhere from mid-October and it's there only for say 4.5 to 5 months. It's not 12 months it's cold. So it's not cold for 12 months. So 4.5 to 5 months, and all the hostels, the university campus, the classroom, the lectures, the hospitals, polyclinics, clinics, transportation like buses, metros, trams, canteens, everything works with the help of central heating system. Okay. So it maintains the body temperature, and so students are not exposed to those harsh winters. So there are also select universities where the temperature is not harsh and moderate, which our office can guide you, which are these universities where students don't have to experience these cold winters. Yeah. But nothing to worry about it. And also once the students land up there, we also facilitate them with winter shopping, those pretty long gowns and the inners, the mufflers, gloves, the shoes. So everything is taken care of. Yeah.
Is there a medical facility if the students fall sick?
Parent point of view, because they are going so far away from their homeland, away from their parents. So nothing to be worried of. All the students have a medical insurance. And there is a medical facility at the hostel and at the university campus. So if a student falls sick, all he needs to just invite a doctor to his or her room, and the doctor prescribes medicines, checks the students thoroughly. In rare cases, when there is an emergency, the students need to be admitted. That is also covered under the medical insurance.
Who is the first point of contact when the students fall sick while studying at the university?
This is again very, very important, whom to contact in cases of emergencies, and we are so far away from India. So we have our representatives of A.K.Educational Consultants in all the universities that we are associated with. So that representatives or the caretaker or a curator becomes the first point of contact. Then of course there's international department of every university that is always in close communication and contact with the students. So it's again well taken care of, so nothing to worry about.
Is the medium of instruction Russian or English?
Now this is again a very, very, very important question because now after the new gadget that has come after 2021, the bilingual programs, when I say a bilingual university, that means certain years of study would be in English and certain years of study would be in Russian. But this is not valid now. all the years of study, that is 6 years, need to be taught in English medium only. The universities with whom we are associated and send our students, all the universities are in complete English language right from the first year until the 6th year.
Can students learn Russian? Is it difficult to learn?
Russian language, of course, is taught to them as a part of curriculum.
Okay.
Like for example, как вас зовут? Меня зовут Amit. So, как дела? Все хорошо. So, this is the way you communicate with your patients. Because if you don't communicate with patients, they'll not inform you about their whereabouts, and a doctor needs to communicate with the patients as well. So, as a communication medium, as a way to communicate with locals, Russian is taught to them, and Russian is not at all difficult. It's taught to them as a part of curriculum, so that they communicate with the patients. Yeah.
What types of food are available for Indian students in Russia?
Now, Indian students are not very fond of Russian food because the Russian food is mostly driven by soups, a lot of salads, variety of salads. At times, maybe some continental food or pizzas and burgers. So yeah, so our Indian students usually prefer Indian food, and which is easily available in metropolitan cities of Russia. So that's also not a very big issue for the students. Yeah.
What type of local transport is available?
Yes, the students usually prefer to move in the city with a public transport. So we have a very good network of buses, we have trams, we have metros, city taxis, then there are marshruts the shared taxis. So they are also available. So yeah, the overall network and the transportation network within the cities is well developed.
Apart from studying, what are the extracurricular activities available for students?
I feel, the extracurriculum plays a very important role in students' life. It's that time of their lives when, they interact with their teachers and the fellow Russian colleagues outside the classroom. They feel they are representing their culture outside of India. So there's a sense of responsibility. Then there's a sense of confidence in them, and they want to do it together. So there's a team spirit in it, and that's why we encourage our students to participate in Indian extravaganza, which has a lot of singing, dancing. They do fashion shows, and they have Diwali, Holi, Christmas, Eid. So everything it's like a big Indian family, and they have created a small India in those parts of the world. Yeah.
And what about sports?
Of course, I tell each and every student of mine, how we celebrate our victories, we need to also embrace our failures, and what better than sports. So we make it a point that every month all our students participate in at least one sporting event. So in summer, students play cricket, football, then they have basketball tournaments. Girls usually participate in badminton, swimming, chess competitions. It's a holistic learning experience for those who are studying in Russia.
Are there any exchange programs for students while studying in Russia?
Certain universities do have a very good network of student exchange programs. These exchange programs usually run during the vacation period. For that, the student needs to fulfill the criteria of excellent grade in all semester examinations, and the attendance in classroom and lectures have to be above 95%. Only then they are eligible to participate in this student exchange program. It is usually in the European zone where students can go free of cost to those clinics in Europe or those hospitals where they are inclined to, or where they wish to do their post-graduation later. So what happens is, when they go to these universities, so they get a 360-degree orientation of how the doctors and hospitals work in Europe. So they create friends there, and maybe after the graduation they have a good chance of working there as well. They understand the procedure, how to get enrolled there, or how to do or what is the scope of post graduation in those countries. So it's really helpful, but you need to put a lot of effort in your examinations for that.
What is an FMGE exam?
So FMGE is Foreign Medical Graduate Examination, or it is also called as screening test.
Okay.
So this was introduced in the year 2002. Those students who went abroad, on returning back, they had to give this examination. So it was a 300 marks MCQs pattern questionnaire, and the minimum passing was 150, so that is 50%. So once the students complete FMGE exam, then they undergo an year of internship, and then they would appear for, say, qualifying examinations for post graduations or for DNB or diploma courses. So this was how the journey after FMG was.
What about next?
So next is what is being proposed right now. So next is going to be a single licentiate examination that would replace FMGE and NEET PG. Now the most important thing here is, like, those who go abroad, on coming or returning back to India, they would have to given this FMGE exam, and there was no examinations for students studying in India. But next exam proposes that Indian students who study medicine in Indian medical colleges, even now they have to give this next exam. So it is going to become very competitive. It's a two-step examinations that they have planned, like next step 1, next step 2, and it's mandatory for Indian students as well as those returning from abroad. So that is why it's going to be very, very competitive, and one has to prepare for it early. That's what I feel.
How does A.K.Educational Consultants prepare students for such exams?
So what we do is we start early. We prepare our students early. So one has to understand, for any medical career, the foundation courses, like the first year and the second year, which has very, very important subjects like anatomy, histology, physiology and biochemistry. If this foundation is solid, if the foundation is correct, if the foundation is apt, only then the student can get interested and move ahead, because afterwards the study gets more deeper. And if your foundation is incomplete or is shaky, then it's going to be difficult for a medical student to later understand a disease, later differentiate a normal organ and a diseased organ. So what we do is, we have collaborated with a faculty that trains our students, and they basically focus on conceptual learning. So we provide a lot of material to our students, a lot of question banks. So every day, 1 hour, the students are with this faculty, and they conduct everyday tests, weekly tests and monthly tests. Its reports are sent to the parents so that they can also monitor and have a hands-on information about the child's progress, because unless and until the students don't qualify or do not pass these exams, he cannot work as a doctor in India. So many a times what happens, the students are enrolling in universities that don't prepare early, or they prepare at later stages, maybe in the 5th year, in the 6th year, and like it becomes very difficult for students. It is very challenging to start from the scratch. So that's why we begin early, so that the journey is smooth. And that is why, if you see, the students who have gone through A.K.Educational Consultants have passed the screening test in first attempt, and the results are what, 90%, 95% in the first attempt, because that is what our target is. So we don't claim, or we don't do a lot of admissions. We do selective admissions, but they need to be the best. Yeah.
What are the precautions students have to take before enrolling into a Russian university?
Yeah, so nowadays, a lot of care has to be taken, because we need to understand the medical education in foreign universities has transformed a lot. First and foremost, the medium of instruction has to be in English. The students will not be able to switch on between universities. Then the duration of medical course has to be 54 months. The internship has to be 12 months. And after this, the student has to obtain a license from that country in which the student is enrolled. And only after that will the student be able to give next examination. So it's very complex and volatile, and everything needs to be done from the date of joining until the completion. It has to be done within 10 years. So there were times when it was like, I can become a doctor, or like, there was a thought like, I can make a doctor. But now the situation is changed, and only those with capabilities and special skills, or only those who are patient and have the capacity to face all these hurdles, only they can become a doctor, I feel, because now the times have changed. And so it's very important to identify, do I really want to become a doctor, or I just wanted to become a doctor for somebody else. So that is what needs to be identified by students, because what happens is the students try to get some information which is available on the internet, and like, they start cross comparison starts with other universities of maybe Russia, or maybe with other countries, or maybe with India, and they just put themselves in those comfort zones where they become a decision maker. But it's not really about like, taking a decision where to study. Do you want to really study? And then you have to select the best universities, not any substandard university where you can go and like, study.
What does clause 4b dated 18th of November 21 mean?
So it's the clause 4b is from the gadget dated on 18th November 2021. So it suggests that a student who has completed his medical education in a foreign university has to give the accreditation examination of that country in their language, and also obtain a license. And only after obtaining such license, he or she is eligible to give the next examination. Yeah, so this is about clause 4b.
Thousands of students sent by A.K.Educational Consultants are now working as successful doctors in India, or have completed their postgrads in India. What is the selection criteria procedure?
That's a very interesting question, and the thing is like, our selection procedure is like, we have had certain parameters before selecting a child. Firstly, if the student is at a remote location, and if he just says like, these are my documents, I am eligible, and just give me an admission in a random university, so unfortunately we won't be able to do it. The reason being, first we need to see the student, understand his personality traits, his skills, his capabilities, his aptitude, his competitiveness, and also see his mindset. We need to also understand the mindset of the parents, because we just don't send students, we handhold them for 6 long years, and even after that we are having a long-term relation with them. It's not like, just taking the admission and sending them. So plus we cater many a times for these qualifying examinations like FMGE, then next, or be it the USMLE or European Union examinations, or examinations in the Middle East, the ones in AMC like the Australian Medical Council, New Zealand Medical Council. So all these things, what the student requires, we cater to them.
Postgraduate programs from which countries are actually recognized in India?
Unfortunately, the post-graduation from Russian medical universities is not accepted in India. Only 5 nations, that is the United States of America, Canada, UK, Australia and New Zealand. If a student completes post-graduations from these nations, then he or she can directly work as postgraduate doctors in India.
How can parents select a correct admission consultants without falling in the traps of fakes or touts?
Yeah, because it's again a very volatile market. It's so funny that a government medical university's clone website, and there are thousands of it. So it's very difficult to distinguish between a university website and that made by an agent. So first and foremost, it is very important for the parents and students to check the authorization of that consultant or of that person or of that consultancy or of that institution. Are you authorized to give information? Because what happens unfortunately in India is everybody gives information which is maybe correct, maybe incorrect, but are you even authorized to give that information is the big question. So the original authorization which is given by the university, we have to check that in original, because nowadays they even do fake authorizations. So original authorization of the consultant is important. Check whether the consultant himself is a doctor, because usually the Russians prefer those who have completed their medical education from Russia. A certain student feedback, a certain parent feedback would also be helpful in this gesture, but it's not about who is giving information or who is giving correct information. Are you authorized or not remains the most important question. And how long is this company working with this university? How many years are they in the market? That also need to be thoroughly checked. Yeah.
Who travels to Russia with the students?
So we don't leave our students alone anywhere. So I travel with them personally because they don't know anybody there. I travel with them, I stay with them for 6 months, because there are small things which they need to adjust and understand in the initial stages of their lives in Russia. So I become their father, mother, a brother to somebody to look up to. And once they are adjusted and once they are feel comfortable, once they give their examinations of the first semester, I come back to India. So mainly because not just somebody should accompany. I think because they are in a foreign land, they also need some emotional support as well, which is very important during their journey of becoming doctors.
How long does it take to travel to Russia?
So from India it takes around 6 hours, not very far.
How much luggage is permitted when traveling to Russia?
Yeah, so it depends on the airline actually, but Aeroflot is the official Russian airlines of the Russian Federation, and if we travel with Aeroflot, we are permitted to have 23 kgs into 2 bags, plus there's a hand carry of 5 kgs, and a laptop bag is also permitted.
What is the pre-departure ceremony?
Yeah, so a pre-departure ceremony is designed for the first year entrance, where they interact with one another, where they have an opportunity to meet all their batchmates under one roof, where they decide with whom they would like to stay, with whom they would like to share their rooms, their groups. So everything is under one roof. They are explained about the immigration formalities, travel formalities that need to be done, the landing formalities, then the hostel formalities, their academic formalities. So it's basically everything from India until reaching till Russia and beyond that.
Whilst the students are studying in Russia, is it true that there are yearly meetings with parents conducted by A.K.Educational Consultants?
Yes, so that's I feel like the students, no doubt they are in communication daily with their parents, but it's our moral responsibility to make them aware of certain things, be it academics, be it their sports or extracurricular, or maybe where they lack, or maybe just give them a pat that they are doing great in their studies. So yeah, so every semester reports, attendance is provided to our parents, so that they are also updated about how the child is progressing.
How can a student apply for a visa?
Those students who are desirous to study in Russia need a visa. So of course all the formalities they can check with our offices what documents are required, when it is required. So all the formalities will be done from our end.
Do the students have to appear for a visa interview?
Actually, it depends on the visa officer. At rare times, the visa officer may invite the student for a personal interview.
What documents are required for a student visa?
Basic documents are the educational documents, and then we require also medical checkups and health reports, plus the visa fee. So once these documents and the visa fee is submitted, we process the visa.
Can a student work and study at the same time in Russia?
Actually no, because the students travel on a student visa and not on a work permit visa. So students can work in say clinics or hospitals or polyclinics, but that again depends on whether those authorities allow them.
Can a student get an educational loan?
Students get loans because all the universities that we partner with are government universities, and of course Indian banks and nationalized banks and private banks or cooperative banks can give loans.
Are there any scholarships available for students?
Yeah, so there are no government scholarships as such, but we have designed a merit scholarship for our students of A.K.Educational Consultants. So it starts from the second year until the fifth year. The criteria to avail this scholarship is if the student gets excellent grade in all the semester examinations and his overall attendance in classroom and lectures is 95%, then he can avail this merit scholarship, which is from the second year.
How can the parents send money for personal utility to students?
It's a simple procedure. They can carry a travel currency and a debit card with them. Also, students can open bank accounts at a very cheap cost in Russia, where the parents can send money to them. Yeah.
How can students communicate with their parents while studying in Russia?
Yeah, again, as an extended service of AK Educational Consultants, once the students land in Russia, the students get a chance to register themselves for a SIM card. So once they get a SIM card, they can communicate with the parents. So that's no problem.
Yes.
Yeah.